This is WHN, charted this last week, and we're looking at possible breakout of the 5 cents, or a initial target of the 5 cents. So it's actually hit that now and broken out. So I'll just have another look here. I've actually put in this new, it broke out of this steep trend channel here, so we probably don't need that anymore. Though it may provide, the top of that may provide support sometime down the track. I've just put in this new trend channel, just taking these two lows here and extending it to the top. So you're hitting the top of that channel now. So so you are a little bit vulnerable to profit taking up here at the top of the channel at the moment. But anyway, we'll just zoom in what's going on. This was your highest volume bar here, up bar, and where smart money sold into demand from the herd. It's come off, and then as it's come down and built back up, we got a nice little test and confirmation Friday where it's broken through on an increase in volume, non-excessive volume, come down and tested on really light volume, the lightest volume in 3 bars, and the next bar is closed higher on a slight increase in volume. So that's a nice that was a nice little setup there. So you could have taken an entry at the close of that day there, which was it was Monday. So that was then that led to the push up, and they've broken out. We've had good volume come in again, not excessive, not like that or even like that, but just what you need to break out of this high volume area here. So that's actually quite positive. It did come back then on Friday, and it looks like it's tested on top of the 5.2. That's the top of the old high, just above the 5 cents. It's tested that. It's the lightest volume in 3 bars, so that's a test. So but it's still fairly high volumes. There's still a bit of supply there, but they may push up again. They might be expecting a bit much with the Dow tanking this weekend. So but even if it were to push up from here, I think they'll still want to bring it back down to test the 5 cents after that. But if it does come back down, we're looking for testing now. We've got the 5 cents there to look at, but we've also got the volume coming through there. They may try and test into that volume as well. So we're looking for really nice, looking for one of those again. Actually, those two. Actually, that went up, but it was still like very low supply as well. But it's still, we're looking for one of these nice, low, very low volume down bars with a narrow spread. There's one there. There was a nice one there. Anything like that on top of the 5 cents, or even into the body, with the next bar closing hopefully up, that will make it a successful test, and then away she should push again. But I think the 5 cents is they will test it. They won't. This could easily just keep going now, and you have got the next targets around the, what have I got there, around the 7 cents. That's it. That's the top of that bar there, around the 7 cents. What was that? 3.7, 7 cents, yeah. 7.1, 7.2 cents. So you have got a target there, and that would be nice if it got there. But even if it pushes up from here straight away, they'll want to test this area, 5 cent area again. So if they push up, I think they'll sell it off and bring it back down. But what would be better probably is if they test it now, and you got these really light volume down bars into this area, and that would give you a nice low risk entry. So it's definitely looking strong. You've got supply in that bar, but you will, because you're breaking out. It's not excessive. Next bar was a test, low volume down, middleish, closing in the middleish, so that's a test. Are still quite high volume, so they may test further, but it's certainly not looking weak or like it's being sold off or anything like that at the moment. But as I say, what we're looking for now is these low volume, narrow spread tests on top of that 5 cents. And even if they do push up on Monday, I think they'll bring it back to that 5 cents at some stage to retest. And that will give you your nice entry. Low volume like one of those, narrow spread like one of those, down bar, and one of those sitting right on the 5 cents and having a bit of a bounce would be perfect if they give it to us. But anyway, no, that's looking quite good. I look at the weekly, and there's a 7.2 cents, and I've taken the actually that's close of that high volume bar there is 5.2 cents, which is where it tested on Friday. So that's interesting. But anyway, you got your 7.2 cents, you got your 10.5, you got your 12, and then you've got 18. So all those will be target resistance points we can look at. But first things first, I think we've just had a break through off the 5 cents, and we want to see low volume testing. And if you got a low volume test on the weekly chart back onto that 5 cents, because this can easily go to 7.2 now in a week. But if it does that, I still think it'll come back and test the 5 cents or around that area anyway. So you want to see one of these low volume down bars, narrow spread down bars coming into that area, and that will give you a nice entry on the weekly chart. So yeah, so it's not looking weak at all, It's still looking quite still looking okay, I think. And any low volume narrow spread down bar testing, next bar closing a little bit higher, that would be perfect if they give it to you, and you can get some really nice entries there. So yeah, that's definitely one to keep an eye out on. It's deadly. It's just dangerous if you're trying to buy when the volume's on, because they typically bring it back to test. And they typically distribute on high volume up bars. But if you see there's an old top to the recent left there, then that could be absorption volume, where they're absorbing supply from the left. And I think that's what this is. That's what it looks like at the moment. And a low volume test of that area will confirm that, and it will be a sign of strength. And yeah, that's looking quite good actually. Okay, this is BLT. Doesn't look like it's doing a great deal at all. You've got all these high volume spikes here at the low here, but not doing a lot. So anyway, you're way you've been crawling along the bottom here for a while now, so hopefully someone's doing some accumulating there. But we zoom in, this is the weekly chart, by the way. You can see a high volume spike there where it's knocked smart money sell on up bars. And that's definitely what they were doing there, and that's knocked it off. When you see those, you just got to run. Having said that, it's a little bit hard on a penny stock. They can be quite erratic, but some things just poke you in the eye. There we go, another one, high volume up bar, but they're distributing. Having said that, we've maintained the low of that bar. I'll just Anyway, again, high volume up bar, high volume up bars, so it's catching supply. You've got, and you'll have supply here now from trapped holders to the left as it's trying to get up. But so that one's the price at the moment is sitting right on the bottom of that last bar. Then you've got to come up again on high volume, get knocked back. High volume spike again, get knocked back. There's no selling pressure there, but then, so it's a test. It's failed because it's closed lower. Up thrust closed on higher volume. Now there's low volume selling. It doesn't look, there's not a lot of selling pressure on the low, but as soon as it tries to make a move up, it's catching supply and it knocks it back down again. These must be some announcements that come through, eh? I think it's just trying to get up then on trying to fight too much supply from the left to get up, but that's what's knocked it back. But having said that, it's, I mean, this bar here has maintained the low there, which is 1.7 cents. It's fallen below the low of this bar here, which is really high volume. So that's going to act as resistance now, again, further resistance. So look, it's been going, it's just been oscillating sideways within the range of this bar at the moment, and maybe they're trying to buy in there, accumulate, but it doesn't look like they're doing a great deal at the moment. There's not a lot of selling pressure. Once it comes down to towards your 2 cents and your 1.7 cents, I mean, there's not a lot of selling pressure on it at all. So, and it's, you know, that's like your bottom low. So I suppose you could argue that you're a lot closer to zero than you've ever been. So that's fairly low risk, and then you can only lose 1.7 cents. So it's up to you, I suppose, but it's not showing any sign of wanting to do anything at the moment. It doesn't look strong. It's just been trading in this range for a long time now, and it's but the volume has started picking up lately, so that could very easily be, you know, accumulation, because if there is, even though it's been sold into, they could be just absorbing some of the supply as they take their increase, and then just let it drop, and you never know. It hasn't dropped any lower. See, it hasn't dropped any lower than this here, than your low. So this could be a bit of absorption, and then just slowly. See, they won't, if that's the case, they won't take it too high because they want lower prices. So I'll just buy a bit there and let it drop, and buy a bit and let it drop, and buy a bit. Maybe that's what that could be possible too, because it's still staying tight within that range. So there possibly could be some accumulation happening in there. But it's not looking like it's ready to run yet. It's so yeah, but anyway, there's your risk. Your risk is 1.7, so it's up to you what you want to do with that. It's not, there's no selling pressure on it at all. Once it gets down to this level, it's just moseying along. So it's up to you if you think it's worth $1, and it might be really cheap. So, but there's nothing particularly exciting about it other than it's been going sideways, and the longer it goes sideways, the more accumulation has happened, and the bigger the up move can be when it finally does decide to go, because it builds a cause then for a move up. Once it wants to start moving, it can really put a move on. which it looks like it. I'll just have a look at the weekly on that one. Oh, that is the weekly. Okay, well, we won't do too much more about that then. Now, once it moves, it can move very quickly, but it's just been crawling along for a while and still doing that. Okay, this is ORD. I did chart this a while ago, and that's when it was doing this. And I said at the time that I thought that was finished. I think my exact comments were it can go higher if they want to screw you over again, and that's what they did, exactly that. Because smart money sell on up bars. And so once you saw this, I mean, if that was all buying, then how could it close lower the next bar like that? And that long tail there, if that was all buying, on this one you weren't too sure where it's going to go, but once this bar turned up, it's gone higher and closed low like that, then you know that there's major distribution happening. When you see suddenly all this high volume, then that's your cue to start getting out. It's come back, and you know there were long entries. There were definitely long entries there. Come back on very low volume testing. Then you get price going up and slightly more volume, and you could have taken an entry there. But again, as soon as you see this, you want to be out again straight away. And they took it back up to where they took it the last time and completed distribution. And they'll do that because if demand's high enough, it can hold the price up a long time while they offload. But on it, liquid stocks like this, that demand can sometimes be very short-lived, so they don't get time to sell where they want to sell, so they support the price and then try and buy it up to attract new buyers, and then they sell it off again. You see the volume this time is a lot less than this time, is because most of the demand has already been absorbed, and they've finished off the selling there, and then it's just been gone down from lack of interest after that. So now it's sort of starting to go sideways a bit. We can have a look, I suppose. Well, I might just put a trend channel on there just to see what we've got. Well, we've still got that. It's still in this downtrend channel at the moment. Even though it's moved sideways, it's found support at the bottom of the channel, and it's moving sideways over to the other end of the channel at the moment, it looks like. Now when it got support, we'll just move up. So we had a low volume down bar, see smart money buying down bars, I don't know. So then the price went up, so they must have been buying, and these now can't all be selling, must have been buying. I just tried to support there, but there was no interest really in higher prices. See, it bounced, so that confirms there was some demand coming there, but on the lightest volume in 3 bars. So that's the opposite of a test, is the no demand. It's a no demand is a light volume up bar, a test is a low volume down bar. We like the down bars on low volume, we don't like the up bars on low volume. So it's gone up on no demand and come back down. It's found support again, and it's just moved sideways, moving sideways at the moment within that last down bar. When you get a down bar, as it tries to push down through there again, it's found support again. And that's actually on the bottom of that. I might just mark the bottom of that bar there just to see. Close of the close of the bar, which was 5.9. Oops, I haven't tagged it very well. Anyway, it's around there. So it has found So it's found support there as it's tried to push down. Narrow spread down bars are good because that means the sell or whatever selling there is being absorbed, and that's pushed it up. The next one's closed high to confirm the buying there. So we've had buying there, then it's come back down and tested in that area again. The volume's increased as it's got there, but it's still less now. There's less volume now on this test. On this test, there's demand there. It's come back testing again within that area. So there's less volume, less supply, less selling in that area. It's gone up, but a bit on no demand. That's a test, but it wasn't confirmed by price going higher. That's a test. See, a test that doesn't confirm with price going higher then just becomes a sign of weakness, because it means it comes a bit like a no demand. It means they've seen the low supply, but they haven't responded to it. But definitely very low, not a lot of selling pressure in there, but your buying, your bit of buying that's come in there isn't the same as your weak bars, as the selling. You know, the volume is still quite retail volume, so you can yet, and while it's in this downtrend, when it's in a downtrend, we tend to pay more attention to our weak bars. See, like this 2-bar reversal at the top of the trend. We wouldn't have known that was a trend then, but we're not so keen on the, well, you can go counter trend, I suppose, but there would have been hardly any movement to the upside in this case. A strong bar is at the bottom of a trend channel. A downtrending channel will often just move it sideways a bit before it continues down. So I think what we want to see with ORD is for it to break out of this downtrending channel and make a higher low, because what can still happen, and probably, there we go, there's a low of that initial buying bar there where they started buying. That's where it's supported, right there. So this is where they're accumulating before, in this area down here, and there's nothing to say it can't get back down there again. There's no real stopping. There's a bit of stopping volume coming in, but not very retail. So we'll have to see what it does when it gets to the other end of this channel, if it drops further. But this is where they're accumulating before, in this area here. That's what I mean when I say if you get sideways movement over an extended period of time, it builds a cause for an up move. So it's, once they've absorbed all the floating supply in this area, they're able to move the stock very easily on any sort of news, and then it's just come off, and there's not too much interest. There's a little bit of interest shown there, but it's still very retail, so we'll just have to see what it does next. I probably can look at the weekly chart and just see. You have got a little bit of a uptrending line there on the weekly, so maybe it'll, you know, might come back to test the bottom of that bar there again where it intersects. I don't know. There we go, the bottom of that bar, the weekly bar, that's where it's tagged. So that there's very little selling pressure there now, but that's not enough. You want a response to that selling pressure. You want that low selling. You want to see the price kick up in response, and it hasn't really done that yet. Yeah, we'll just have to see. I might try and convert that to a trend channel. Oh, come on, get out of there. Just to see. Yeah, that doesn't really work too good, but hopefully it'll support on that line there and just keep going on that little channel there, keep going up. So but anyway, there's very little selling pressure there at the moment, but not too much buying showing there at the moment either. But just enough there for it to shift it sideways a bit. So I think we really need to see it make a higher high and a higher low on the weekly, and so any low volume coming down to the 5 cents or the 5.1 would probably be quite low risk, I would imagine. But so that's your risk, I think, at the moment, your 5.1 cents. But if they don't show any interest in the stock soon, it'll just continue to rise, just continue to drop lower and lower. So we want to see some volume kick in, and then we've got something to bounce our trades off. So if we see a lot of volume come in and it goes up, then we want to see light volume testing it to show that they're buying it and testing, but and maybe wanting to take it up again. But anyway, that's ORD.